I don't know. Corporations are weird, though.
They are.
You know, like,
They're
there's...
fucking stupid.
Yeah. Let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Castrell Angora of Sergeant Tanis. What's up, Castrell?
Hello, how's it going today?
Pretty good. What's happening?
First thing I want to say is, I think the last time I called into you guys was the reveal of Stormblood episode we did.
Okay. Right on.
Go.
And I totally called Doma being a dungeon then.
You totally called what?
Doma's not a dungeon. Doma Castle's a dungeon.
Oh.
But Doma has a lot of regions.
Yeah, but I mean, I was like, yeah, broken city of Doma, but I was wrong about the broken part. But we broke it. So.
I mean, it got broken in the end.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I'll yeah.
Props to that.
Yeah, for sure. So what's up, man?
But more to point, I've been playing a lot of like World of Warcraft lately, and one of the things I have right now, one of the things I have right now are the new allied races, and to do it, you have to grind rep. Like you're busy doing daily quests, doing all this other stuff to do whatever. A lot of people complained because this is content locked behind content that you have to pre-order the expansion to get.
Okay.
Wait, so hold on. They're complaining about the fact that they have to buy a new expansion to get the content?
No. If you pre-order the expansion, you can make an allied race character, but to make an allied race character, you have to be exalted with that race.
That's fair.
It's not. All right, so
now, however,
what do you mean it's not fair?
When the fans complained about it, do you know what Blizzard's response was?
Get good?
Fucking nothing. They didn't bother to respond because it's pointless to respond.
Nice.
They didn't do anything to it. They just went, it's what we did. So sorry.
All right. So Juxta, why isn't that fair?
Okay, so yeah. In order to unlock one of the allied races, you have to do a whole bunch of rep grinding, and it takes like 30 days or something ridiculous. So I was hyped for a battle for Azeroth, and I pre-ordered it so I could, start grinding the rep and unlock one of the races. And I couldn't even, I lost interest in it before I even, got to max level to start grinding for the Alliance, one of the Nightfallen or the Void Elves or something.
Yeah, see that for me is the only thing that's keeping me on the cusp from getting back into WoW is that initial grind to what is current level.
Yeah,
now I will say this. I grinded out. I got my Void Elf, and do you know the weird thing is getting the carrot at the end of the stick, getting that little reward for it. Oh, it feels good. I'm level 35, 40. I'm still tickled to death because I got a thing that I worked for.
Dude,
yeah, no. And that's the thing is that I fucking hate rep grinding just in concept. Like I've always fucking hated it.
I agree. Yeah.
But I do think that there is something to that where at the end of a long line of tasks that you feel accomplished, right? And I don't know that I've ever had that sense of accomplishment out of 14 because no one gets to revel in the shit for that long.
I'll tell you when I felt it when we first got the very first relic after clearing Titan Hard for the very first time.
But 6 weeks later when everyone had that shit, you were like, oh, well.
Yeah, nope. I think about the time that we were doing, that they had introduced the books that you had to do all the variant tasks, that's when I started to feel like, oh, this actually isn't
the Atma.
Cool.
The Atma grind killed me.
The Atma
grind was brutal. But the thing is, though, is that I did feel at least a little bit of a sense of accomplishment with the relic, but there was so little to do elsewhere in the world that when everyone had it, didn't feel that special anymore. Didn't feel like that much of an accomplishment. It didn't feel unique. So I think that was my biggest problem with the 2.0 relic, and then I never even did a 3.0 relic. I'm still somewhere halfway through with the Aether Sand and shit.
Yeah, I think I got past the Aether Sand. I'm at the point where we had charge, basically the lights phase, whatever that was.
And the thing is that I don't know what the factors that you have to balance are to be able to keep that in balance. I just don't. I'm not I don't know enough about game design to really...
You just know that there's a problem.
Yes, because I feel it as a player, right? Like, I think that just sentiment, you know, especially because it's multiple people have expressed it, not just in this room, but, you know, also Castrell and other callers have expressed it as well, that, yeah, that the rewards never really feel like a reward or an accomplishment. And I think that's definitely a problem.
It just feels like something you're doing for the sake of doing.
Kind of, yeah.
Because you want to play the game, but
I think like, part of it is that there are people who can't do it, right? Or there are people who lapse on doing it, and then you can kind of like lord that over them. Like it sounds like honestly, it sounds like a shitty thing to admit.
It absolutely is.
Dude, this is a big part of MMOs. This is a big part of the social stratum and the psychology that goes into MMOs and the carrot and the stick philosophy.
It's the glory gear. Speaking to our callers' exact same mentality, I think my biggest accomplishment in MMOs was when I got the insane title in World of Warcraft pre-nerf. That was the most ridiculous piece of shit that I ever had to do.
Kind of impressive.
And so when people saw like the insane title on you, plus it went really well with my Shadow Priest aesthetic, like people were just like, holy shit, you have no fucking life. And I'm like, yeah.
I remember flying around with a Netherwing Drake.
In fact,
everybody else was just like, what?
I even got the Chendralar reputation, which isn't even in the fucking game anymore.
But here's the thing. Is someone able to go and pay 35 cents to get the insane title now? You know what I mean? Like, have those challenges been eased, or is it still a pain in the dick to get?
It is still a pain, not as much of a pain, but it is definitely still there.
See, and that's got to be part of it too, is where it remains a pain in the dick. A lot of the things that are exclusive in FF14 just wind up in the cash shop at some point. You know what I mean? Or they get, you know, the requirements become so easy that you can, you know. Like I never did Odin grinding for any of the Odin gear, right?
I did.
But you can solo that shit now.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like and
you can solo Odin?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Quite easily.
Super easy now, yeah.
You know, I have to say that I think that maybe that's probably the biggest, you know, because in a certain sense it is a strength. We've always applauded Final Fantasy XIV and Yoshi P for being so open and so communicative with his player base, and I do respect Blizzard for when you have all these, you know, we wants and whiners, regardless of what side that they're on, to be able to just ignore them, and they do respond to some people too. But I feel like Yoshi has put himself in such a position now because he responds so much and because he's so open that if he ever decided I have nothing to say about that issue, he can't just not say anything. And I think our player base has shown that if you don't respond, or if you don't really, I think, give into their demands, they're just going to keep coming at you over and over and over and over and over again until something happens.
I mean, you know,
they're still playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are definitely. No one's saying that there's not enough people to you know, for FF14 to continue to sustain itself. Mm-hmm. It's been a slow bleed, and getting veterans back has also been abnormally difficult for an MMO of this caliber. You know, and I think that at some point, I don't know if it's 5.0 or beyond 5.0, that there's got to be a serious change. Like, there's got to be, you know, like a ground up change that happens in 14. But, I mean, I don't know exactly what that is. But to your point, rewards are going to have a big part to do with that. No point. Okay. All right.
Let's see what Eureka holds. I guess.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
I told my buddy I'd play it again when Eureka came out. After that, I haven't touched Stormblood very much. So.
Well, you've only got 9 days, so you might as well fire that sub back up. Anyway,
yeah, I've already logged in. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, Castrell, thanks for the call. We appreciate hearing from you. If you want to call us, Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. We'd love to hear from you. Would Yoshi P moving on from FF14 be the worst thing for FF14?
I don't think so. And the reason why is if they bring somebody new in and he's told, don't rock the boat, just keep it sailing as it is, I feel like that shouldn't be too hard, right? They're already, as you said, we see that there's a slow bleed already. So you bring somebody new in, even if he fucks something up and just tries to keep it on course, I don't know that the drop-off would be any more noticeable than it is now. And if he manages to somehow steadily improve the game, then everybody wins, right?
Right, but I also feel like in most games, the producer and director are not the same person. So
that is also true.
So if Yoshi steps down completely, we'd probably end up getting two people, or Yoshi stays on as one with another person as a pair of fresh eyes as the other role. And I think that honestly would probably be the best situation starting out with, so that way Yoshi still has a say in what happens, but not full control, because then there's somebody else on kind of a level playing field with him.
I mean, I do feel like that option. I do feel like, and they may have said this somewhere, that, you know, Square Enix and the FF14 development team has had a concept that they've been sticking to all the way through 5.0, at least in like a story sense. Right? Like, I do feel that Yoshi P probably does have an idea of where this story is going and all of these different pieces that are in motion, where that is supposed to culminate. And I do think that it's supposed to culminate somewhere in Garlemald. And I think that that's supposed to happen through 5.0. So I think maybe the more likely exit point is after 5.0.
That was going to be actually one of the points that I wanted to mention earlier was I don't think he's going to be stepping away because of the way that, yes, he's talked about his role in the game so far and going up through 5.0.
Yeah.
But then at that point, because he's always talked about it as like, you know, when he was given the project, the way that he fixed and wrapped things up was through 5.0. They're very much still telling 1.0's story. So 5.0 would actually be the point where he would finally be able to do something, I think, that's all his own, right?
Unique and original.
Or start to do original stuff. And if that at that point hands it off, I mean, I guess I could kind of see it like he did his job, which was save FF14. And now that it's put sort of everything that has to do with 1.0 in the past, hand the reins off to someone new.
I mean, I do think, listen, man, if they were able to reconfigure enough of the assets in FF11 to give it a second life beyond, because no one thought FF11 was going to last much longer than Wings of the Goddess. No one.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
When Seekers of Alderaan got announced, everyone was fucking floored.
Jaw drop.
Did a heel turn. What?
Like, it was...
All of us did that, that's for sure.
It was mind-blowing, because you're going like, how much fucking space do they have on the PS2? Like, there's no way. Mm-hmm. There's no way. So...
I don't think Alderaan got released for PS2.
It did. I think it did.
It did?
I think it did.
Pretty sure.
I thought they had dropped
They ended PS2 support much more recently than you would think.
Huh. Okay.
Because they dropped.
I thought they ended PS2 support long before they ended Xbox support, right?
No, they ended console support at the same time. Because I know that I had Seekers of Alderaan for Xbox, for sure, 100% for sure.
Our team's on it, figuring it out.
Yeah,
I'm looking.
Go Juxta.
I'm
also
looking.
In the chat says it had a special PS2 release as a limited edition.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure that it did come out on PS2. Dude, it must have fucking taxed that hardware so bad. Oh my
All right,
God.
so 11 ended service for PS2 and Xbox 360 in March 2016.
Boom!
Sheesh.
Boom, Nika.
That's what you get for being a woman.
Okay, I believe you. I'm not. Only? I don't know.
No, I don't think that's true. But anyway, like, if they were able to get another entire expansion out of 11, you don't think that they would be able to reorder or fix up FF14 and change the scope of what we're doing?
To be fair, FF11 probably cost like $5 to keep alive at that point. So I think they
to
had
develop
extra
for. Are you shitting me?
To keep it on, but
no, not to develop for, but like to keep it running. I think that the development costs in general were much lower for 11 than 14s right now. Just like to keep the servers up and all that kind of stuff. And then considering the fact that their subscription costs had stayed the same while their development costs overall have went down, I think they were probably making more money in terms of like what they needed to turn out for an expansion than 14 is.
But 14,
we're talking about like technical limitations. If FF14,
I'm pretty sure 11 is running on a hamster on a wheel.
That's my point, though, is that at the time, like with Wings of the Goddess, everyone was like, Jesus, there's no way that this thing can even continue. And then they like found new ways and reordered assets, and they just found new ways to be able to present content. You don't think that they could honestly do that with FF14 if they wanted to? I mean, like sure they could. They could. Mm-hmm. There's enough assets.
They're motivated to.
The system is malleable enough that they could if they wanted to.
But they don't want to.
No, they don't. Would it have to be a Cataclysm style like reset?
No, they don't have to blow up the world again.
I mean, they already did that once, right?
I know they did it once, but that's because like it was a new engine.
Calamities come in cycles. Like there's been so many of them already.
That's also true.
Another one's going to happen eventually.
I would like to see actually what would be even better is if we because all right we failed, we didn't prevent a calamity, okay, whatever, the world's still around. I would like to see us straight up fucking fail, the Ascians win, and our world is consumed by darkness or whatever, and we have to escape to a new one. Wipe it all clean.
Yeah,
and then it would be kind of cool if like every third expansion there was a calamity, and
because the next expansion we're getting rid of all that content anyway.
See, actually, Nika, I think that would be cool to actually, instead of being warped through to the other side of a calamity like we were the first time, I think it would be cool. It would be much cooler to play through it.
Yeah, like every third expansion is the next calamity, and we just play through it, and then everything's destroyed. Then by the next expansion is the beginning of the game past the calamity.
Well, I think
it would be cool
to see the world change in real time. That drastically would also be cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know how much work that is to like fuck up a zone calamity style. But I mean, like, how cool would it be actually if Doma, or rather Authored, got their first calamity? Or I don't know. Like, that's the thing, is that the calamity is a uniquely Eorzean thing that happens to the Eorzean continent. At least it seems like. It seems to be focused.
Why does anybody live on Eorzea? It's a terrible place to be.
Well, like, I have to wonder.
Doesn't the lore book talk about calamities that happen worldwide?
They just might not refer to them.
No, but they start in Eorzea. They all seem to originate from some bullshit that Eorzeans are doing. So, whether it's...
I guess it's the same thing that always happens in DC, how they always, like, the amount of times that celestial or cosmic beings have came to Earth and they're like, you guys keep fucking shit up, so we're just going to remove the Earth from the equation.
I mean, it makes sense.
Similar to that.
It could be that a couple of the calamities that we don't have as much information about might have happened or originated in Authored. That's possible.
Or somewhere else.
That's possible. Right, yeah. Or Mericidia, is that another one that's... I feel like that's one. Yeah.
Garlean area.
The Garlean area, right. So, like, we don't know everything that there is to know about each one of the calamities, but we know enough about the more recent ones to know that most of them have been originating in Eorzea and may have had impact somewhere else. But imagine if it originated over in Doma, and then you go back to Eorzea to see a fucked up Eorzea. Like, that would be kind of cool, right? I would be kind of into that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, so basically we're just doing
Calamity.
Final Fantasy Calamity.
It's Calamity, yeah.
Okay.
Would that not work, though?
It worked pretty well.
It would be new enough to keep us all interested, and I don't think if we're living through a calamity, hopefully, that all of the raids could just be circle arena bosses. Like, they'd have to get a little bit more creative as we're fighting through a literal, like, flood and shit going down. Like, they would not just be able to give us a circle arena.
If they were to take anything from World of Warcraft, that would not be a bad lesson to do.
I mean, how else do you drastically change the scope of where your content goes?
Wait, do you think it's harder to take assets that are already there and not completely redesign them, but redesign them in a way that, like, hey, there's been a calamity, or to have to make something completely new from the ground up?
You should ask Konami that question, because I'm pretty sure that's what Metal Gear Survive is. And, I mean, Kojima was responsible for making all of the underpinnings for that. So I think it's probably easier with pre-made assets
to edit it.
Ask any of the Steam Greenlight games. Like they,
okay, that's probably fair. Yeah.
It doesn't take half the talent to reorder pre-made assets than it does to make all of that shit for the first time. So, I mean, you've got half your work done for you.
And with those increased budgets.
Come on.
No one talks about the increased budget that Stormblood supposedly had anymore, do they?
No.
There was the one comment from him, and now whenever it comes up, people are probably like, no, X-nay on the budget snay.
I mean, all of these people that are fucking pissed off at me for hating on FF14, like, they're generally the same people that fell into the camp that was like, Stormblood's gonna be amazing because it's got more money behind it. And it's just like, where the fuck is that money, bro?
Show me the money.
Lloyd's even pointing out that technically most of FF14's assets aren't even FF14's assets.
They're just 11 reskin.
And
fucking A if you're not exactly goddamn right.
Hey, why did it take him to even point that out to us?
There's a lot of 13 assets as well. Credit where credit is due.
There are.
Oh my god.
I mean, there's some.
Where's the 15 assets?
There's some 12 assets in there too.
Yeah.
So
there's something.
I mean, dude, like the Square Enix, it really.
There's a lot of Final Fantasy VI assets in there too.
At least though they had to remake those, like, right? Like at least they had to make those from the ground up.
No, because Ulthros was in Final Fantasy 13 too. As
Ulthros was?
Yes, he was as an DLC boss, and yeah, blowing your mind. He was in that.
No, you're making me angry. There's a difference. What the fuck? He was a DLC boss? What the fuck is that shit?
Yeah. There's like the Coliseum or some bullshit where it's like,
go away, Square Enix.
It's literally the tournament arc.
I'm sorry. That's just very frustrating. Is it the same character model? It is.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. Do you really think we would have gotten Ulthros if he wasn't already a model somewhere?
I mean,
he always seems so random, and eventually that was obviously the whole character, but still, it kind of makes sense where they're like, what should we put here? Yoshi P's like, get Ultros from the FF13 team. They're like, you mean that DLC? Yeah, have them send it over on a flash drive.
Dude, Square Enix is just like they just throw shit that they've already made at new projects and is like, that'll work. I don't think it does. I don't know if I said thank you, but Castrell, thank you for the call. If you want to give us a call here on Limit Break Radio, Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. We'd love to hear from you.
You know what? This actually kind of makes me feel better about the next leg of Sigma or Deltascape or Omega or whatever. I don't think it's gonna be an FF7.
It has to be.
No, not until the remake comes out so they can borrow those assets.
Oh, honey. Do you not know about Dissidia?
Yeah. All right. I was gonna, because that's where Kefka came from.
Yeah. If you want to know what the next boss is in Sigma,
he basically looks just like the Dissidia.
And Deltascape are just look at Dissidia.
He has the same fucking animation set, doesn't he?
I mean,
I'm actually not sure.
I would assume so, but I can't say for certain.
Oh, my head hurts.
Oh my god, dude! It is so frustrating.
How does it feel, Aniro, to go from one show where like you have hope and optimism to going to the next show where you just feel completely destroyed inside?
Do you
wish you were back on drugs?
It like honestly, it's tough to do the show some weeks because like people bag on us for being negative about FF14 all the time. Just quit. And it's like, dude, like people don't understand how much we want this game to be a good game.
We're not quitters.
And not just our vision of the game, but just overall be successful. And a lot of, I mean, like this, again, a lot of people who will sit there and tell you that it's successful end up citing these kind of like bogus statistics that come out of Square Enix, where they're like, oh, there's 10 million players. No, there's fucking not.
counting free ones too. Come on.
Oh, well, you know, this server's doing okay. Well, that's anecdotal evidence. Like, my link shell's doing good. And we're not just saying that, like, because the Limit Break Radio Free Company or Link Shell doesn't have as many people logging in as it used to, that is our only metric for being able to judge whether or not this game is doing well. Like, we've lived through the shit, guys. Like, we've seen other games in their slow decline and decay towards irrelevance. We've seen this happen. We've seen this slide happen before, and this is the shit that always happens, where the game company will say, oh, we're doing great, we're doing great, we're doing great. All the while, when you log in, there's less to do, there's less people to do it with, and everything takes fucking longer.
Remember in some of the near the end days of FF11, the thing you do is log in and do the see all to see how many people were on your server? When there were less than 100 people on your server?
Yeah.
Oh.
Between all zones, dude.
Everywhere.
And that's the thing, is that you go into places that should be populated. Granted, you know, this is a bit of anecdotal evidence because it's Sargentanus, but Sargentanus has been a traditionally very high pop server.
High to medium, at least.
Yeah. And it's empty. It's a fucking Kugane is basically empty. Fucking Ralger's Reach is, I mean, like, there's like maybe 50 people that I see. The
only person I ever see
fucking
is Nika.
A.
That's sad. Nobody wants to see Nika.
I know.
I'm the best.
I mean, remember the huge crowds that used to be around Rowena?
Yes! Not being able to find NPCs because there's just so many fucking people you have to wade through. Where'd it go?
Last time that happened,
that's an MMO.
I was trying to get past Raubon.
That's an MMO. This just feels like a single player game with online elements. And that bums me out. That bums me out. Because it's just like, it's an overworld that has no consequence with instance dungeons, and that's it.
Do you remember what the last overworld content we had was?
Hunts.
That was new?
Hunts. That long ago.
How many people did hunts in Stormblood? Not I.
But they've just
there's actually quite a few people that do them. I've been going to some of them, and there's a big chunk.
But it's the same recycled shit, though. Like,
I think that was a good start, but the thing is that I don't know why they didn't realize, like, hey, Hunts was a really popular overworld content. It wasn't exactly what we were expecting when there was like 10,000 million people swimming after one boss. So let's take the overworld content and, you know, make one that works better. But they never did that.
No.
Clearly, people like the overworld content. They like the reward from it is good. They just need to make it, you know, they were like, we didn't expect it to go quite this way where it would lag every time you'd enter a zone with a hunt. So make one that's better.
It's because they test everything in a 6-person fucking vacuum. It's amazing when you hear about the development cycle for FF14. It is fucking stunning how little effort they seem to put in to testing the limits of the shit that they make. And that's why everything, I think, ends up feeling very much the same, because you've only got the same pair of eyes testing through that material. Like, that is monotonous to me. All the content in FF14 right now is incredibly monotonous to me. That's why I'm so hopeful about Eureka. That's why I want Eureka to be a different style of play altogether. And it may not. I just...
The elemental wheel...
I don't even know anymore.
...has to be the start of the system.
It's got to expand out, right?
It's got to have more than just the elemental wheel and then tough monsters.
Right.
Because if it's just elemental wheel plus tough monsters, how is that going to hold anybody's interest?
Well, and some mobs, you know, like it's 144 people that can be in the zone, right? Like...
Oh, yeah, because it's like an instance duty type of thing.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, if you have 144 people in, like what is the max expectation that they're going to be placing on us for some of these high-level notorious monsters? Is it going to be 70 people participating? 50?
No. I'd have to say probably just
how could they
alliance.
My point is, how do they test it? If they want more than an alliance, how the fuck do they test for that?
Use numbers from hunts.
Do you just kind of increase it exponentially?
Well, remember, that's actually one of the things that they mention with regards to how they do raids. They know the minimum amount.
Fun fact, Yoshi talked about Eureka when we did episode 9. It's taken him over 3 years to figure this shit out. Phrase juxta.
That
episode 9?
Actually, like, I do remember.
Single digit 9?
I do remember the first time that they talked about the Forbidden Land of Eureka.
Yeah.
Was around the release of Crystal Tower.
Yes, it was. But I feel like it was only
because, and I only remember this because I thought initially it was going to go Crystal Tower, and then after Crystal Tower it was going to be Eureka, because that's how
they're both from FF3.
Yes.
So is maybe the way that he talked about it was just in reference to the fact that since I've done Crystal Tower, I'd like to visit Eureka as well.
I think that's what it was. I don't think that any of the actual system had been laid out, but
right, but it still stands that it took him that long to figure it out.
I think he was talking like he would want
thematically,
like he would want to do Eureka, but because Eureka was a place with magical weapons and armor, like it was in Final Fantasy 3, it wouldn't translate well to a 24-man raid, I think is what he was talking about. It's been a long time.
Well, to go back to your question though, Nero, multiple times, he's mentioned in regards to the way that they do testing for the raids is they figure out, all right, how quickly do we want this to be defeated? What DPS is required for that? And then divide it by the number of people, and then account for tanks and healers and stuff like that. I would assume they probably have some system like that set up. Now, whether or not it's going to be accurate or work is a completely other thing, but that seems to be how they deal with stuff thus far.
I mean, balancing seems like it's going to take, it may take like a patch or two for balancing to work out.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the big blind spots about the first Diadem, was that they just didn't have the number of people to test the system to find out if it was fucking fun or not.
It wasn't, by the way.
This is what a PTR would help with. This is what a fucking PTR would help with. I guess fine, don't put the dungeons or raids in there, because you know what? You're able to tune those just fine.
Good practice with that.
Clearly, 3 expansions worth of developing that shit, you've been able to come up and put with a very good system for putting that into place. Fine. Keep that shit the way that it is. But Diadem and Eureka, would I think, like, if Eureka ends up bad, and bad for some of the same reasons that Diadem was bad, I'm gonna lay this squarely on the fact that they didn't put this into a PTR and let enough players test the fucking material before they put it out.
Yeah,
if they're beta testing another fucking system on us with fucking Eureka, I don't know that I have the patience for this shit no more.
Raynar and Lysis, PS3 limitations is a non-factor in this because you wouldn't obviously carry PTR progress over to the live realm. Everything gets erased, and Overwatch has the PTR. But guess what? You can only play it if you're on PC.
Yeah.
It's for testing, which means that console players don't need to have access to it. There's nothing unfair about that. It's just for testing, and then everyone gets it.
I don't even know what a PTR would do for testing the content, because at that point, the content is basically done if it's on a PTR.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
your PTRs are mostly for like finding bugs and glitches and stuff.
Yes.
If the content itself isn't fun,
you're fucked either way.
You're not going to be able to fix that before the actual patch hits, unless you're talking like having a PTR come out like in like 2.5 for 3.3 content. But I mean, given Square Enix's like development cycle, I don't think that's really possible.
I mean, listen, you have to be able to get it out of that vacuum environment of having, your internal staff testing it, especially for a system this big. Especially for something that could have as many as 144 fucking participants in it.
Guarantee you, first week of Eureka, we're going to have server problems regardless.
Oh, fuck Fuck yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So I wouldn't actually, I don't think I'd take Tuesday off for your Eureka run. I'd maybe take Thursday or Friday off.
Man, if I take Tuesday off and I can't play 14, I will call that a win, and I'll go play Overwatch. And be like, hey, I tried, bro.
All right.
I tried.
So the 13th when Eureka comes out, you want to do your play? Oh, you already did your placements.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how'd you do?
I placed at like 1975.
Oh, that's not too bad.
I placed 1951, but it was a different thing.
Still not gold. You're still in silver, bro. See, which means not that bad.
Give us a call, Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. We'd love to hear from you, whether it's about Eureka, whether it's about the current executive changes that are going on at Square Enix, or what you're just looking forward to about the future of FF14. We'd love to talk to you. Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. Nothing. I was just reminding him. That's all. You guys can continue on with your conversation.
Do you think there's going to be more to Eureka's battle system than just the elemental wheel?
Well, yes, because we know that we're creating some type of weapons and armor. Now, whether or not all of that is there right at the beginning, we don't know.
Rewards or shit. I'm just talking like the actual in-game battling thingy things. Like the mechanics.
From what we've gathered so far, the elemental wheel affects you directly in combat. If you're fighting something that is considered a fire element that does fire attacks, if you don't have water as your or whatever, if you're not tuned correctly, that thing is going to destroy you, right? So that's what you have to do. You basically have to allocate your points to be able to increase your elemental attack or defense or however it is that it works out. If that, on its face, is the only gimmick to Eureka, that's why did it take so long to come up with something that simple in basic? I'm gonna be incredibly frustrated if that is literally all it is beforehand being like, all right, do I have my grass Pokemon for this water type?
You really think that's
I didn't say that.
It sounds more complicated than that.
I'm just asking. I'm just asking, do you think there's going to be more than just that?
Well, I think that our rewards will actually play a more substantial role than just go and kill X amount of things and then, every 2 weeks you get a piece of gear. I hope. If it's just fucking tome-style reward system rehashed, I'm going to be very upset.
I mean, and is that gear supposed to be, like, the lead-in with the relic? Because we haven't really heard much about the actual...
You're right. We haven't.
Either.
But I hope that the way that we create and get our weapons and our gear is a mixture of stuff we've done with relics in the past, as well as the way that the Palace of the Dead works, or even new systems. I do not want to see another system recycled. For as long as Eureka has taken to develop and as many hiccups as there have been, if I don't see something that is actually new and original for this game, I think that people should be out of their mind pissed off.
Well, I think, what... Okay, let's just talk about Abyssia here for a second, because what was good about Abyssia was that, you had high-level mobs that you were fighting for multiple rewards that were incremental rewards, right?
Yeah.
Like, it got you a step closer to your relic gear that you were taking out. And the rewards, it wasn't so grind heavy that you were like, fuck, I've got to do 15 15 I can't even think of an NM that came out of Abyssia anymore. Shit, I can't think of any of them.
Glavoid?
Fine, yes, Glavoid.
He was like a zone boss though, so he doesn't really count.
Right. Yeah, I guess not. But I mean, like, to get, there were different tiers of rewards, right? If you were working on a Empyrean weapon, you were collecting a different set of bullshit from these fights than people who were looking to upgrade their gear.
Their Empyrean gear.
Their Empyrean gear, right. So you had different incentives. Like the people who were working on that Empyrean weapon, which was a very powerful weapon, were grinding at much greater rates and at different capacities than someone who was just trying to get the normal.
I would also like to add that you could do all of that content in smaller groups because my girlfriend at the time and her mother had done both their gear and their weapons. It took them considerably
longer.
Way longer, but they were able to do it in duos and trios.
And then my link shell that I had with Omoy Kitty, we did it in parties of between 8 and 16.
And probably did it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And so, like, you could scale however you want to do it. If you wanted to do it, like you could do it however. Like, I just said that. Like
you just made your point. Yeah, it did scale for however you wanted to do it, and the system sustained that.
Yeah.
And it made sense. And it was still fun, whether you were doing it, whether you, and I'm trying to remember, Karabos, right? Like whether you were like duoing Karabos, or whether you were fucking going out for Glavoid with your link shell, all of it seemed really fun. It was consistently fun, and it all, like the rewards made a progression level sense. And I hope that on its face, that makes some sort of that Eureka makes that same sort of sense. And they were able to kind of do it in this way that was subdivided from the rest of Vana'diel as well. They were able to do it, that entire event, basically in a bubble.
Yeah, and they made it, quote, fun, because you could have ridiculously crazy stats through the use of the Atma, right? Yeah, the Atma buffs and stuff. So, like, in my opinion, like, Abyssia was probably the pinnacle of endgame Final Fantasy 11 content.
It was very clever.
I liked it a lot.
It was very clever, and it had a lot of
the
those
actual endgame stuff. But then when it came down to like letting everyone power level from 1 to 75 in like a day.
Okay. But at the same time, like, you kind of had to do that because everybody had to level to 80, to 90, to 99. Like, there's 3 Calibur camps. How are 3 Calibur camps going to sustain the entire Final Fantasy 11 player base?
That makes sense. I mean, there were some practical problems with it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that a lot of people quit at Abyssia because of the leveling and not because of the actual end game system.
The actual event.
Yeah, I like, people cite Abyssia as the reason that they quit FF11, and then when you ask them a little bit more, like, was it the farming in there? Was it the XP? And they go, oh yeah, the XP parties were trash.